Broward County got a brand new school superintendent this week, and the road to get there was not easy. Broward School District's months-long search involved more than 24 candidates, and that follows, stay with me here, a superintendent that resigned after he was indicted, a wide-ranging grand jury investigation, a politically tinged school board turnover, and another supe who was hired, fired, reinstated, and fired again. Whew. As of this week, Dr. Peter Licata takes the reins and forges forward after 30 years with the Palm Beach County School District, most recently regional superintendent there. Dr. Licata right here with us for his first interview as superintendent of Broward County Public Schools publicly. Is that right? We're your first?
Yes.
I love being first. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for that introduction, and happy Father's Day to all those that mentored or are fathers of children and made a difference in a kid's life.
You have 4.
Yes, we have 4.
I don't know how you do that, and they're adults now, I suppose, right?
They are, and we got 2 grandchildren and expecting a 3rd grandchild in 2 months.
Amazing.
They were all at the
Congrats.
house yesterday, so it was awesome.
Wow.
It was wonderful.
Well, so here's some peaceful time for you here. A homecoming of sorts for you in Broward County.
Yes, I born down the street at Holy Cross Hospital with my wife as well. Same hospital, same doctor, same room. Our birth, absolutely. Our birth certificates pretty much look, exactly the same, except hers obviously is many more years later than mine.
And you didn't know her then?
No, we didn't know her. No.
Let me start out with the meeting when you were elected. We just kind of laid out this history that most people in South Florida who are engaged know well. So School Board Chair Lori Al-Hadef had said you were chosen, they were looking for a transformational candidate. She used that word, transformational candidate. Well, what does that word mean to you now that you are on this seat?
So if you look at the historical perspective of my career, my mentors, superintendents over my career have always, they've moved me to places to fix. I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need to be more equitable, I need you to make sure these schools become A's. You end up earning that title. You don't just get that title, you just can't self-proclaim that that's who you are. You have to earn it over time, and my history is very clear that I've transformed several schools and departments in a school district as well and been a major part of that. So it's a title that's earned. It's not easy to keep, but I felt that that was a great statement because that's the first thing I would refer to myself as.
So, the next question, if you are coming in as a fixer, the MacGyver of Broward schools, what is it specifically that you see needs fixing? Give me the top 3.
So first and foremost, our conversations have to surround children first. They always have to be. We are going to have adult problems because when you have 33,000 employees, the largest employer in Broward County, you're going to talk about adults. But let's make sure everything focuses on children first. That's number 1. Number 2, we have to really look at what we're doing that's causing us to be a B. We need to be an A district. We're sandwiched by 2 A's, and we really want to be that A district, and there's no reason why it can't. It's 1 point shy when you do the calculations across the state, and that's a large formula that I don't think we have time for. But that's something I've been working on for my entire career, and I'm very in tune with Tallahassee on how they're creating that. So I know we have some quick fixes. And also, we have to look at teachers. The third thing, which could be as important as any of them, we need teachers. It's not a teacher shortage. There's just a lot of teachers that aren't in the profession anymore because it's such a overburdened job. It's carefully watched. There's a lot of legislation that they have to pay attention to, and our living costs in this area are not cheap. Just like Palm Beach, just like Miami-Dade. So we really need to look at making sure that we are the best opportunity for them to continue what they like doing. Teachers love doing what they do, but sometimes it forces them with finances, it makes it tough.
Yeah, of course, and we can look at that, and that's a state issue, and Florida is about 5,000 teachers short. We can delve into that. I want to stay district-wide for just a minute. Interesting that you were chosen out of a field that included internal candidates and out-of-state candidates. You feel like the sweet spot of close enough to know what's going on, yet far enough removed to come in and change things. That was kind of an interpretation I came up with. I don't know how true that might be, but I think the board members said they were particularly interested in your 90-day plan. So you mentioned, fixing things. What's the goal of this 90-day plan? Students, as you just said, But the school district encompasses, you know, the construction, a capital campaign that had gone awry. And so what is this 90-day plan? What's the triage there?
So the 90-day plan is based on a transitional leader, making sure that I understand every part of the community, every part of the building, and every part of the school board, obviously meeting with them individually, making sure that when I go out in public, I'm speaking in a voice of 10, 9 plus 1. We want to make sure that that message is never cloudy. The second part is making sure we get to the communities and know that they have a stake in their child's education. And we know that certain districts are not as successful academically as others. District 5, Dr. Holness, we're going to work on that. And I committed to him that we're going to work on it because there are some F schools in there. We want to make sure we increase the academics. We want those parents involved.
Why? Why is that from your view? You mentioned before, a school district to the north, a school district to the south, B in the middle, very close to an A. What are the very specific challenges that you see, especially in District 5, that is preventing that?
So from 10,000 feet, not getting my hands completely dirty yet, first we got to look at what kind of resources we are putting in there. Second is, are our best there? Remember, we want our best to be in some of the hardest spots, and we know that those schools need bringing up. You're only as good as your worst school. So that would be the first look, getting together with the principals, getting together with the community, as well as board members, and saying, what can we start looking at and how can we make it better?
I want to keep digging on that.
Go ahead.
When you say worst schools, what, you know, obviously it's a grade thing. Is it a poverty issue? Is it a parenting issue? Is it a teacher? What? Get me granular in there.
So, and I say worse because I just mean that they're not doing as well as they could be.
Yeah,
and you know, there are some amazing folks, amazing teachers, amazing students there. And getting granular with that, COVID was a good indicator about resources at home, in the community, and it did. As we fight to close that achievement gap, and we know what subgroups struggle the most to get there, that had the biggest impact on them. Yeah. COVID really set them farther apart because if you had families that had a ton of resources where we are up there, they were creating pods and paying teachers and creating these small little schools and environments, and you know that couldn't happen in certain communities, and it's going to take us extra to catch up to where we were, but we always have to be prepared for something like that. And we better make sure our resources are in that location and make sure that our focus is closing the gap regardless of the external circumstances. So
take from one and put in another?
I never say take from anyone. Reallocate, but don't take away from something that's incredibly successful. You know, all too often we look at and say, okay, we can afford to take away from, let's say we had a school, and my history is we have a school that went from a D to a C during COVID, which was remarkable because they don't do it, and a phenomenal principal. We didn't just pull those resources from them because they could dip in a moment's notice. So we can't take from schools that are relying on that and doing well because of that. We have to reallocate and find where and more, because you don't want to fix one problem by creating the other one. So,
where do you look for that?
So there are a lot of vacancies. I haven't gotten that deep into the budget yet. That'll start this week. We're working on contract this week, but you know, everyone's wanting to hit the ground running. I'd like to think I haven't slept over the last 3 days because I'm excited, because I am. The mind's not turning off.
Did they give you coffee?
Yeah, no, I don't need it. My wife tells me I'm only allowed one per day. But the reality is I'm excited about the plan more than the, you know, we celebrate. You know, my wife and I went to dinner, we celebrated. But right now it's about getting going. Yes.
All right. We actually have 2 minutes to depart for our own little work, so stay tuned. We're going to be back with Broward's new superintendent, Peter Licata, in just a few minutes. We are back with the first interview with Broward County Public Schools' brand new school superintendent, Dr. Peter Licata, and it is, you know, your name for a native New Yorker is very difficult, Peter Licata.
Yes.
So I want to bring you in on a little background that we were just discussing during the break. Is Dr. Licata and I both were talking about being nonpartisan, no party affiliation voters, maneuvering what can be very politically choppy waters in South Florida, and it is absolutely a surprise to nobody how political all school districts are, in particular Broward. And even the consultant who was looking for the candidates for superintendent mentioned how difficult the politics are. How are you going to deal with not only your own board, but at a district and internal politics and state politics that have been very tricky.
Well, that's a challenging question that a lot of folks don't want to answer, but I think it needs to be answered out front. Politics of what's best for students. And when you come across a problem in my role, you have to focus on students and what's best for them first. I'm a very conservative person internally about my fiduciary responsibilities and very held to heart with the Constitution. But when it comes to children, I'm very liberal in making sure that we do everything we can to provide the services for them. And I know that seems like a very pat answer, but it's not. It's truly who I am.
Well, and it sounds lovely. When you get down to reality in Florida, there are some new laws in place that make that that pose some real questions about that. The Parental Rights and Education Law, which is truly a Parents' Rights and Responsibility Act, also comes along with some guardrails on education that has gotten a lot of blowback from people who really do fear what that might look like. How did you address that?
So that obviously is evolving with the extension of that. Listen, it's always great to have parents involved in the education process. We know that the data shows that when they're involved in education, their child or their children are usually more successful. But there's also has to be an understanding of what the law states, and you have to dig deep into it. You can't take one side or the others and listen. Social media does not dictate the meaning of the law, so we have to be very careful with that.
Let me just stop you. You are 100% right, but what social media does dictate are people's perceptions of the law.
Absolutely.
And that's what you deal with.
Yes. There's been conversations already with the group to make sure we're out front of that, to make sure that we are protecting our teachers with this, SB 1069, I believe it is, that we're protecting our children first and we're protecting our teachers. But we also want to give them the opportunity to understand that there's certain things that shouldn't be exposed to children at certain ages. We know that. But let's make sure we're within those guidelines and make sure we don't reduce the availability of great educational materials.
So in looking at the plan, listening to you as I'm kind of switching gears here a moment, accountability seems to be sort of a headline of your conversations with the board and your interviews. Accountability in a big bureaucracy, we've seen from, especially from a news sense looking in, big public bureaucracies really don't have an accountability system that works. It's like parenting 101. Consequence needs to go to the person whose behavior needs to change. What does accountability look like now to you?
It looks like the person sitting next to you. It has to start with me, and I think, and I'm not going to disparage anyone prior to me, but Broward's been in a tough place for the last 5 years, and there's an event, and we know that, and since then it's been in a difficult place. And we need to step past that now internally. We need to know that everyone's accountable to our kids, they're accountable to the public, and they're accountable to me. And I'm accountable to those folks as well.
Accountable, and with what kind of consequence do you foresee?
We are at a critical time. We cannot gray any area when you cross a line. We cannot do that. It's clear as a public employee and as an educator and someone who's in front of children or in charge of children or teachers, we have to make sure that we have a higher standard of an ethical code. And the state actually says that. And we are going to maintain that. We're going to maintain that at all times. It's not going to be negotiated at any times. Because once you start setting those standards of expectations and holding accountability as more than just a word that people like to throw around, we'll start seeing results. But it starts with me. It starts with me leading and me being that accountable person. Like I said, when I'm in line at a grocery store or walking the dog, it starts with me.
Dr. Peter Licata, it is our honor to have your first interview. It's been a pleasure. I know there's a lot more we can talk about, and I hope you'll come back soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you.